I got to tell you something that our buddy Ian said in the editing room. Because we were talking about how much would people pay for Peacock or your NFL games.
Well, if you didn't pay to watch the game this weekend, you missed Taylor Swift's dance party she was throwing. The swag surfer. Did you see her doing the swag surfing?
That's right next to Kelsey's mom.
And everybody said she was doing it wrong. I don't know how to do the swag surf.
Can you do it wrong?
I've never swag surfed, in fact.
I don't think you've surfed, have you?
But I heard she did it wrong, but it went viral over the weekend.
Well,
so if you didn't pay, you missed it.
Here's the thought. We talked about, well, what are you willing to pay? Like, Danny, if I said, well, to watch the Raiders games, there's going to be a number, right, where you're like, well, I just can't pay that.
Well, I already paid it, though. That's the thing. I pay for Sunday ticket every single season.
And how much was it?
It's a big bill.
Like $400, right?
Yeah. I think I got it for $3-something. So it was over $300 to watch the Raiders.
Yeah, but you know what, Danny? Based on what I'm about to say, then you're still willing to pay. But there would be a number where even you would say, can't do it. If they were like,
or on principle, you won't.
$600, sorry, Sunday ticket. There is a number. Everyone has a number. And Ian, in the editing room, he meant to say, made it clear to say, guys, I don't want to show off, but I was an economics major in college.
Mm-hmm.
And he said there's a theory called perfect price discrimination. And what it is each business tries to come up with an individual amount that you would spend on something. Now, businesses can't do this. It's impossible. But there's a limit you would spend on everything.
And everybody has that limit.
Like if
so
I said,
it's trying to figure out who or what the maximum price is.
Like we are, like right now, right? We're seemingly okay spending $5 or $6 for a drink at Starbucks. That sounds ridiculous. But we're willing to do it, or else they wouldn't be a successful company.
And what are you paying now for a burrito bowl at Chipotle?
Yeah. I go to Chipotle for my wife and I. I'm on the borderline of saying, this is fast food. This is
not only that, it's the inflation plus shrinkflation.
So it's supply and demand.
And Lorena, I got my wife and I got a burrito. She got a burrito bowl, and I got a chips and guac on the side. $34.
Too much.
That's borderline to me, where I'm like, even me, who doesn't really care about spending money on dinner or lunch, I'm like, we're getting to the point where I'm like, nope.
That's restaurant prices for fast food. It makes no sense.
So you got to ask yourself everything in life. So there is a number that you wouldn't pay for football. And
didn't Ted DiBiase say this back in the day?
Everybody's got a price. No, but there is. Like if I said, Covino, you want to go to the Super Bowl? How much are you willing to pay for a ticket if your team's in it? You might say, I spend a couple $1,000s if you're balling. But guess what? I'm not paying $10,000. Someone else might say, yeah, go to a concert. Oh, I'm taking my daughter to see Taylor Swift. I would pay maybe $300 or $400, but not $3,000 or $4,000. Everyone has a price. My point is, the NFL has done the math and research in their head, and they're like, you know what? Fans will pay $5 or $6 on Peacock
for the game.
Yeah,
and it's not, and they're rationalizing, and not for the game. Look at all the great entertainment we provide.
Camino, you're a big fight fan.
Yeah.
There are times where you're like, $70, $80, $90 for a pay-per-view. They've done the research.
Yeah, for a big fight, you got people coming by, you're willing to pay it.
They know. Now, if they said $150, then everyone would say, get the F out of here.
What's this called? Perfect price discrimination?
Perfect price discrimination. It's the... I hope I'm not doing the butchering this, but our buddy Ian was explaining how that's what companies try to do. They try to figure out, what are you willing to pay?
The maximum.
Up to the amount where you're like, I won't do it. Right? Netflix raises their prices. You're not getting rid of Netflix. What do? You bend over, you bite the bullet, and say, I'll take it. There would be a point there where you'd say, nope, not doing it. So just keep that in mind. And the one place where this is the most applicable, I think, where do they get you? You don't even realize they're getting you. But when you go to a car dealership to get a new car or a pre-owned, they always ask you, what are you looking for your car payment to be? That's their sucker way of saying,
what are you willing to spend?
What are you willing to spend? If you're like, I'm okay with my car payment being $300 or $400, they're like, what do you say? $400. Perfect. We can get your car payment to that number you wanted. Here's what you got to put down. So when people say, I'm not paying for Peacock, I understand that. But what they're trying to do is milk every dime out of you that you're willing to do. They do it at Starbucks. They do it at Chipotle. They do it at Peacock. They do it everywhere. So everywhere you go, just realize pricing is made on, as Lorraine was saying, supply and demand, but also what are you really willing to pay? It's everything, really.
I think most people found a way to watch that game.
Lorena,
unless you're like so stubborn.
Lorena, this week I'm going to take. You guys will be without me on Wednesday. I'm taking my kids out of school and we're going to Disney for the day. They haven't been.
Yes.
And you say the price is absurd, but people still go.
Yeah. Well,
that is why the prices are that ludicrous.
Well, Rich, I waited in line on Sunday to get a new pass for my daughter when the things opened up. And so what is that, like $850 to be able to go to Disney for the year? But they only open it at certain times, and I am willing to pay the price.
Jeez Louise.
And if you weren't, and people like you or me weren't willing, they would drop the price.
100%.
But if we're willing to
buying
pay
it.
we keep doing it. So I'm not going to go on and on. I'm done with that. But it's interesting because when people are complaining about Peacock, the reality is, much like a pay-per-view for UFC or a big fight, if you're willing to pay, they know. They're not lowering the prices. Get out of here. I want to talk Cowboys for 1 second because it's an interesting thought, and I feel like a lot of people's answer right away was, no effing way. I asked you guys, and I've been asking random friends, the Cowboys dynasty of Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, that, as each year passes, that's like becoming more and more in the distant past. Spot, you saw a funny, you just showed me a funny meme. It said Cowboy playoff highlights, and it was someone with a floppy disk.
Floppy disk. Written on a floppy disk.
Written on a floppy disk.
It's funny because it's true.
I mean, the 90s, dude. It's 30 years ago.
Our buddy Jack Mack from Barstool saying, what is it with Dallas? Like, did they just make some deal in the 90s where, like, we're going to give you guys some success right now, but you're going to be ruined for the rest of time? Where,
well,
you know, he's like, we've seen this story over and over again, and he's so right because they were on top of the world, and now it seems like they can't figure it out for anything.
And Jerry's getting older.
Exactly.
Who knows? Now, I'm curious if...
It's like they made a deal with the devil back in the 90s, and that was it.
So here's my question.
A lot of time's passed, man.
Will there come a point, and again, this could be the quickest 2-minute conversation on a show, or it could go on. That's up to you. 877-999-FOX. I'm so curious, will we ever enter a stage where people feel bad enough for the Cowboys, where they become like the underdog, where you're like, come on, Cowboys? Or is the fan base? Is it like the Yankees?
Of the storied history.
No, but
already.
is it like your Yankees, where like there's no way people will ever feel bad for the pinstripes and the Yanks? Like, will there come a time, even if it's in 5, 10, 15 years, if the Cowboys keep this up, will there come a point where we're like, man, it would be nice to see the Cowboys win?
I think you lose the moniker like America's team and things like that after a while because you're like, how? They haven't won in forever. You know, and people love to hate on them. How are they America's team?
Danny G, will there ever be the sentiment that people feel bad for the Cowboys?
No, because they've won. They have that history.
Maybe you're feeling for some of the players, but their fan base, no.
Yeah, the players.
Yeah, but what if their fan base gets to the point, like, if you were born in the 90s, you don't know of their success. And those people that were born in the 90s are our contemporaries we work with, 30-year-old. So does there come, what if it's 50 years? What if in 20 years, Danny, when we're 60, and all of a sudden, you know, the Cowboys haven't won in 50 years?
No.
Dan Byer, is there ever going to be a sentiment of feeling bad for the Cowboys?
No, I don't think there is. And I think that the Lakers are the best equivalent. Covino's Yankees, the only thing I will say about them, and I think it's a good comparison, but I did think in like Judge's rookie year, because homegrown talent, it wasn't just going out. I didn't feel that there was as much Yankee angst. No, it was a little while ago.
They weren't as hateable as they were in the past.
Yes, but you could never get away with it. But I think Danny's Lakers are they're always going to be the Lakers.
Yeah, if the Lakers pooped the bed for a decade plus, it would still be like, the Lakers. Yeah. Like, you make fun of their losses, and when they win, you're like, people.
The Lions hadn't won a playoff in 30 years, right?
32
years. I don't think anyone's going to feel like, man, I feel happy for the Cowboys the way they felt happy for the Lions. I don't think so, because they're the Cowboys.
Yeah, when you see a dynasty,
people love. By the way, it's like it's grown every year. To the feeling of people loving to watch the Cowboys fail.
And you know what added to it? The culture of the
Stephen A. Smith,
the social media. Yeah, so well, you got to give him credit. Stephen A. Danny G, the culture of memes and funny videos online, and like
that's why I think it's going to follow them forever.
And that dude, you know that
doesn't
dude
matter how old people are,
like man bun ponytail with his girlfriend,
dude,
like the loser fans.
Immediately after that loss, I saw 100 different memes.
Dude, that really has brought on a different side of the culture of people just laughing at their expense. It's become a thing. So even based on that, Rich, I think people are more prone to lean into that and laugh at the expense of the Cowboys. And Mike, who runs this place, Rich, we asked him too. Will there ever be a feeling of feeling bad for the Cowboys? Mike said, hard no. A hard no. So think about that because it's been a long time.